Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition and how it is my opinion Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition should move swiftly to the death of the byline in every single Dungeons & Dragons book. Every single one. Alright, so why is this? Well, within 5th editions, 5th edition has an incredibly fraught history with authors. Okay? So first of all, there's so much here, right? Okay, so when you talk about people on the bylines, right, of Dungeons and Dragons, there's within just 5th edition's incredibly brief history, there are some major problems, right? So first of all, the Dungeons and Dragons, I'm pretty sure the 5th edition handbook has one. If you got a D&D 5th edition, and yeah, this is my understanding. If you bought a D&D 5th edition book in 2014 when it came out, and then you bought the same book in 2021, there is a name missing. There is a name that was removed from the author list in the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition book. Okay, that's to my understanding. And that was because an author, between the time when the book came out and when the time when they went and on the subsequent printings, Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro, was not real comfortable having this person's name listed among the authors, even though they had done work on the book, right? Got yanked. Here's another one, right? Kate Welch, right? Kate Welch, man, she came in, she did some amazing work, right? And then she left. And we really don't know why she left. We really don't know what happened, okay? Now, that one's only slightly problematic in that there's a gigantic question mark, right? And is that byline for Kate going, is her name listed in the book going to become a bigger issue for WotC or for her in the future? Is this just... And the only reason I say that is, man, if you were watching Kate Welch's career, it really looked like she was being groomed to be the design lead to me, right? And then she was just gone in a New York second, right? And I think that big question mark may get filled in a later time, and that byline may be problematic on the WotC side or may be problematic on the Kate Welch side, right? So it's a possibility. That's not an issue now. That's a possible problem in the future, okay? From a byline perspective, okay? So you got the player's handbook issue. You have the possibility... Oh, Todd Krennic. I'm not kidding. When Todd Krennic left D&D Beyond, he literally cried on camera, right? Like, that exit was not smooth, right? There, and again, gigantic question mark, right? And I think Todd Krennic is listed in some of the source books, right? And his name is very closely connected to Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Big question around what him being listed on the byline now means, because he's on the outside now, right? He ain't with 5th edition anymore. And when he left, there was tears, no flames, but there was tears, right? Like, if you're crying on your job exit, that's usually not a good sign, right? Like, I don't think, right? And so there's a big question mark there. Here's the last one, okay? Candlekeep Mysteries. The real mystery is what went wrong with this book, okay? 17 authors. One author now says, I want my name pulled off of the book. Very dramatic, bold statement. And this author is saying, I want it because this book is regressive from a cultural perspective, right? Regressive. And he says it in more words than that, and has very specific concerns, but is saying, I came on to be inclusive. I don't consider this inclusive, and he's pulling his name. Now there's 16 authors on Candlekeep Mysteries. Are you going to stand there and keep your name on the book while one of the authors says this is regressive literature, right? That's a huge question, right? This is in 7 years of publishing, right? There are at least 4 very real problems with the byline, with this book is by and then names being listed, right? Now, trust and believe this issue already exists in the industry, in the indie side of the industry, and the way they're handling it is there are a lot of industries like, this book is by the publisher. Done, period, end of sentence. There is no name listed on this book except the company, period. And I think that the problem with Candlekeep Mysteries is so strong, that it should mean the death of the byline. No one should be listed on a Dungeons & Dragons book. And here's the reason why. If this problem happened with Candlekeep Mysteries, which had the most inclusive list of it was the golden child. It was the woke golden child, right? It was built from the ground up to be the pinnacle of representation, and it turned into Tears and Flames fast, right? So if you come in with representation for people with disability, representation for people of color, representation for orientation, right? And you have positioned yourself to put 3 crowns of cultural representation on Wizards of the Coast, but instead it's a crown of thorns that causes bleeding and itching, and no one is happy, right? Like, can you imagine being one of the 16 authors who has to stand there and say, I'm still proud of my work, on a book where one of the authors is saying this is regressive literature? That's hard, right? You came in to wear a crown, right, of representation, and they should have. I was very excited about Candlekeep Mysteries being a representative list of authors, right? But at this point, there's a huge debate on whether the book is progressive or regressive, right? So with that said, if you kill the byline, right, and you say that's it, nobody gets their name listed on these books, right, then you protect the game and you make the product bear the weight of all the slings and arrows that will come at every product. And trust me, with Twitter, those slings and arrows will never stop. In fact, the only thing that's going to happen is that those slings and arrows will be coated in oil and will be flaming as they come in. They will dig in deeper, and the reality is, I think Candlekeep Mysteries is absolute proof that in modern day you cannot successfully continue to list people on a book, because time will show them to be human, right? And their humanity will mean there are issues with the editors, issues with the authors, issues with any individual human, right? So what you can do is just put the company's name on it, and the company bears all the blame and gets all the glory. And the byline should die. No one's name should ever be listed on a Dungeons & Dragons book going forward. And if you do this, right, one of the things that will really help is a lot of the questions will go away, right? Does it have the right mix as far as representation? Who knows, right? It's just the company, right? And the company already is under it. It's not even a question, right? So I like the byline. I would love to keep the byline around, but the byline is a massive risk to the game of Dungeons & Dragons, and it can no longer. Candlekeep Mysteries has put a dagger through the heart of the byline. The byline must die. It is an absolute risk to the company. It is an absolute risk to every single product. So going forward, this game is done by Wizards of the Coast. This game is published by Wizards of the Coast. Period. Nobody's name goes on it, right? Because the reality is, it doesn't matter what the 16 authors did. All that matters is the author who said, "Pull my name," right? And that risk is so high on every book going forward that I just don't think that it should be allowed to threaten what Dungeons & Dragons is. And I think that actually that's the issue. I am not saying that author was right or wrong in what they're saying, because I don't that's an incredibly challenging question, right? And I listen to both sides, right? It's not clear to me what happened. But what is super clear, right, is that the byline is absolutely a threat to the game. There's no question of that. That is a fact, right? There's huge debate on whether that author on Candle Creek Mysteries, created a problem of their own, or were fully justified to ask to have their name removed. But what can't happen is you can't have every single byline, a list in every single product, be a ticking time bomb, which has clearly happened. There's at least 4 books that have big question marks or already have problems. In the short 7-year history of 5th edition, I truly believe the byline should go away, right? And if we do that, it protects all authors, because the author who is frustrated with their work on Candle Keeps Mysteries, I think they're going to get what they want. I think they're going to get their name pulled off the book, so that person will be served. Those 16 others, there's a big question on them now, right? They went in thinking that they were going to be able to put forward representation, but all that came out was whether they were really supporting regression. That's harsh. That's a harsh reality for those 16 authors. And I think going forward, we shouldn't be putting authors in that situation. The byline should die on every Dungeons & Dragons product. That's my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinion. Let me know in the comments below, because this is a complicated issue. If I'm wrong on this one, let me know. I'm willing to hear it. All right. Thank you. Please consider liking and subscribing. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.